Dr. Lim here. Today we are going to start the series on Sang Hanlun, discuss on the harmful diseases, a formal teaching in herbology. Are you feeling excited? I shall introduce to you the background of this great book, the socioeconomy at the time the book was written, who the authors and etc. The book was written around 2000 and 2010 CE, which was in the beginning of the 3rd century, about 1,800 years from now. For the non-Chinese, you may be shocked that we have been using the text now for almost 2,000 years and read it word by word, line by line, and apply the teaching to this day. That immediately indicates to you there is a lot of difference between Chinese civilization and others. Today, archaeological findings say the Pillar of Ashoka, there is some writing on it. Unless you are a specialist, you do not expect the present-day Indian to read the text. From the Egyptian pyramids, there is a lot of ancient Egyptian writing on the wall. You also do not expect the student from Egypt reading the script of the wall. But Chinese is totally different. The writing system has not changed over the years. So even with ancient excavation, the text written is recognized by many Chinese students. Even myself can read it directly. So Sang Hanlun was written almost 2,000 years ago as a Chinese. I can read it as though it was written yesterday. This is something fascinating about the Chinese language. Not only that, the herbs recorded in the book are widely used, and the herbal formulas are extensively used until today. Since Chinese are using the ancient language, the ancient herbs, ancient philosophy, until this day, you may think that Chinese are very orthodox and keep the culture to the chest and never want to change it. You are wrong. Chinese civilization is the only ancient civilization when it found others are stronger and better. The Chinese will mobilize all to learn the foreign civilization and eventually make it part of their civilization. Most of the time they send convoys to invite a foreign scholar to go to China. At the time when the foreign scholar refused to come, they send troops and invite the scholar using the military might. The capture of Kumarajiwa to China is a great example. Even in modern China, when they found that the Western civilizations defeated their old way, the Chinese throw away the hairstyle, the clothing style, the housing system, the educational system, etc. to adopt to the Western civilization. When China was defeated by the European 150 years ago, one Chinese scholar commented to his fellow Chinese, "We are inferior in producing the cloth, producing the food, producing the housing, producing the transport vehicles. We are lacking behind in science, technology, political system, educational system, medication system, etc. We must wake up or the Chinese will be exterminated from the world." The Chinese started the mega modernizations you've never seen in history. They changed the way they keep the hair, the way they wear the cloth. They throw away the emperor and become the first republic in Asia. They go all out to adopt science, technologies, even the Western fashion, and etc. There is one European commentator when he visited Shanghai and commented, "This is a place you do not know where the Europe ends and China begins." They mean Shanghai is like any European city now. When the emperor of China learned that sweet potato has been introduced into China, he promoted it throughout China. So today, technically, China has become a sweet potato country because almost 80% of the sweet potato produced in this world is from China. China is also the largest producer of potatoes too. From the potatoes to rockets, China adopted many things from outside and changed himself from inside out. There's something Chinese will never let go. That is the Chinese language. Even in the Han Dynasty, which is 2,000 years ago, one scholar said, language is the vehicle of knowledge. You should never lose your language. He's right. When language and ancient records survive, civilization survives. The Chinese writing system remained unchanged for a few thousand years. This resulted in the fact that Chinese civilization is the only ancient civilization that survived until today. Survive means something they adopted a few thousand years ago and still apply today. You may think that Chinese civilization is very static and thus can be preserved this way. Again, this is wrong. It is the most dynamic civilization now and evolve and change all the time. But amid all the changes, the vehicle of knowledge, the writing system never changed. I spent quite a lot of time explaining how the Chinese modernize and accept foreign culture while keeping their own culture intact. What has that to do with Sanghanlun? Now, with this Sanghanlun, you shall face that what the Chinese experienced before. A medical teaching you do not face before. Then you should do what the Chinese do. While keeping your Western medical training, then all out to adopt this beautiful system that stands the test of the times and survived until today. We are not going to replace the Western medical system or go against it. The Chinese experience told us that in one hand, you can keep whatever medical system you are familiar with, be it Western or Ayurvedic medicine, then you can adopt Sanghanlun and combine them together. Opening up your mind and accept good teaching is the first step in learning. Many principles in Genotherapy are adapted from Sanghanlun. So Sanghanlun is the father of Genotherapy. Now, going back to the historical background of the book, it was written 200 to 210 CE. Why should we go back to history? There are a few reasons for that. First is the usage of the language. The character of the writing remained the same, but the meaning somehow differed a bit. For example, in Han Dynasty, the word Han have two meanings. One refers to coldness, another refers to harmfulness. In modern Chinese, Han mainly refer to coldness. Harmfulness is used by other characters like Hai. If you do not understand the historical background of the book, you may commit mistake in the translation or the teaching of the book. Similarly, Sang can mean injurious or damage or disease. In Han Dynasty, Sanghan generally mean harmful disease, not cold damage or cold injury. I have been studying ancient Chinese for years and can directly read the ancient text. Many times I find the translation into English uses the modern meaning of the Chinese character, and of course the translation is wrong. As you can see, even some scholars translate the book as Treatise on Cold Damaged Diseases. This does not make sense at all in English. The correct translation should be the discussion on harmful diseases or the treatise on harmful diseases. I translate it as the discussion rather than the treatise. As treatises are more towards proposing some theory and less on application. Discussion is less on proposing the theory but stress on the application. However, you can use any of it to your liking. Another example is ao. In modern Chinese, means boil and simmers in water for a long time. But in the Han Dynasty, it means dry, fried slowly until it is dry. Again, many people translate it wrongly. One more example about the ancient language. At one time, the director from the Sunya International Foundation was reading the English translation of the book on Sunya, written by Zhi Yi in the 6th century. The translation says, wrong walking is harmful for the practice. This is puzzle. How walking can be wrong? Luckily, the translation have the Chinese alongside it now. It refers to sing. In ancient Chinese, it means action, and in modern Chinese, it means walking. So when I told you it means wrong action, not wrong walking, then it immediately makes sense. Ancient language is like a time machine. It brings us back to the distant past. We should think and use the language as the people of the time. I enjoy doing this very much. When reading the Sanghanlun, I feel like having dialogue with Zhang Zhongqing, the great doctor and author in Han Dynasty. We can feel his thinking, his logic, and his seriousness in the book, and he become a role model in the practice as herbalist. I am lucky in the sense that I understand both English and ancient Chinese well, and I decided to translate Sanghanlun on my own into proper English. I've seen some English translation of Sanghanlun, The translation mix up modern and ancient Chinese and translate into funny English. Just an example of wrong accent become a wrong walking, harmful disease become a cold damages, confuse the reader and make them feel that the ancient Chinese must be funny. Actually, they are not. Only the half-cooked translator are funny. So in the series, please use my translation. After all, it's free of charge. If you feel that it is so good and you must pay money for it, then donate to SIF, okay, the Sunyata International Foundation, for upgrading of the socio-economy of the society, socially disadvantaged group of people, or to donate to $1 for one child program to fight malnutrition for the poor children. Millions of them go to bed at night with empty stomach. So fasten your seatbelt and prepare yourself. We are going to take off in a long journey of herbal training. I shall keep on updating the video as long as I finish it. This may not stick to Wednesday at a fixed schedule anymore, so please come back to this page often to check the new release of video. See you then. Bye bye.